In this, government is giving more emphasis how to bring the more number of startup, and our young generation will do the innovation kind of things. So I mean, local for vocal, what are the concept is moving nowadays. So our younger generation will create and to do some innovation kind of thing so that our country will develop. So whatever you are thinking of the 2047, we will reach a developing to developed country. So you are the backbone of our country. So with you only it is possible to reach that goal. So regarding that, in connection of that, so we are organizing a different webinar about innovation, entrepreneurship, and startup. So in that connection, so today we are organizing design thinking process in entrepreneurship. So no doubt you all are doing excellent work in your field. So Professor Hota is an expert in this field. He is a professor in IIM. So definitely he has a lot of experience. So he can share a lot of things with you. So with these words, I welcome you, sir, for today's webinar. Also, RC Bhubaneswar is one of the best regional center in our country. So we are providing student support service and different kind of ways to our learners how they will get benefited through distance education system, because whatever the new education policy is talking about the GR 50%, you have to reach on that. So it is not possible through conventional systems. So distance education is one of the best medium to strengthen our country. So with these words, once again I welcome you, sir, to today's webinar, and I welcome all the learners to participate in today's webinar. Thank you very much. Over to Nanda, sir.
Thank you, sir. May I now request my colleague Dr. Prabhat Kumar Jena to offer a brief introduction regarding our esteemed research person today.
Thank you, sir. Very good afternoon to everybody. Honorable Senior Director Dr. M.K. Das, sir. Respected Additional Director Dr. S.K. Panigare, sir. Respected Deputy Director Dr. B.C. Nanda, sir. Respected Research Person Dr. Pradeep Kumar Hota, sir. My dear colleagues, dear students and friends. Though introduction is not necessary, because we have got a very renowned person and he has expertise on the entrepreneurship field. Since he is a assistant professor in IIM, so no doubt we are all keen to listen to him. So though much introduction is not necessary, still then let me briefly introduce him. Dr. Pradeep Kumar Hota is a research person. He is an assistant professor and young faculty research chair at the IIM Udaipur. He holds a postdoctoral degree from the prestigious Australian National University and a PhD degree from IIM Kozhikode. With over 13 years of experience spanning academia and the corporate sector, Dr. Hota brings a unique blend of practical insight and scholarly depth to his work. His research focuses on entrepreneurship, strategic thinking, design thinking, and social entrepreneurship. Widely recognized as one of the leading voices in the field of social entrepreneurship, Dr. Hota has published in globally ranked top-tier journals and has been honored with B.K. Birla Distinguished Researcher Award for his outstanding contribution between 2018 and 2022. At IIM Udaipur, Professor Hota teaches core and elective courses in strategic management and entrepreneurship, which are highly popular among MBA and EMBA students. His entrepreneurship course, in particular, has received exceptional feedback for its depth, relevance, and real-world applicability. So, in addition to his academic role, he has led education programs for prominent organizations such as JK Group, IOCL, and NHPC, etc. So his sessions are consistently praised for being intellectually stimulating, practical, and deeply engaging. So no doubt he has very much experience in the field of entrepreneurship, and we all are very much grateful to him for accepting our invitation. So, on behalf of IGNO also, once again, I welcome him to this webinar, and we are all keen to listen to him. Welcome, sir. And this is all about a brief introduction about him. Now, over to you for the next activity, sir.
Thank you, Dr. Jena. May I now request our today's esteemed resource person, Dr. Pradeep Kumar Hota, to deliver his address on design thinking for entrepreneurship. Dr. Hota, sir, please. Thank you, sir.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you, Dr. Nanda, Dr. Panigrahi, and Dr. Pravat for your warm welcome. Such a generous introduction. Let me share my screen, please. Okay. Just give me a moment. I think. Is the sharing rights are on?
Sir, yes, sir. We are just removing our presentation and yours will be there.
Okay.
You can go ahead, sir, now.
Okay, I'm trying to do, but I don't know why it is not allowing. I hope you can see my screen, right? Can you see my screen?
It is open, sir. It is open.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, now it is showing on the screen.
Okay, great. So, as you already know, the topic of discussion is design thinking for entrepreneurship, and over next about 30 to 45 minutes, I'm going to talk about how can we apply the design thinking principles in entrepreneurship. So what are the steps of design thinking and how can that be used, right? So if you are thinking of starting an entrepreneurial venture, how might design thinking help? Can I request you to put yourself in mute? Everyone?
Sucharita, please mute yourself.
Okay, thank you. So let's first try to understand what is design thinking and why this is a useful concept for us to understand. Right? So design thinking is a human-centered approach. That means human beings are at the focus of design thinking. And from entrepreneur's perspective, whenever we say human beings, this refers to my potential customers, right? So I have not yet started a business, but I know that if I am going to start this particular business, who is my target or potential customers? So design thinking is centered on them, human centered. It's a collaborative approach. That's it. Everybody within the organization, or if you are starting an entrepreneurial venture, if there are 10 people involved in the venture, it has to be a collaboration between all of them. It cannot be that if one person decides everything. That's not design thinking. Design thinking has to be collaborative, and it's a way of problem solving which is creative, iterative, and practical. So it has to be a creative solution. It has to be iterative. That means you cannot say I have found out this and you stop at that you have it has to go back again and again, right? So for example, if you have created a product using design thinking approach, and then you go to your customers, show them that look, this is the product I have created. Do you think that this is a good product? Do you like it? What are the changes I should do? And based on their suggestions, again you should go back to the design thinking process. So it's a iterative process, right? It's not one time, it goes again and again, and it has to be practical, right? So output of design thinking has to be something which can be directly implemented. So the practical element has to be there. So design thinking is human centered, collaborative approach of problem solving, which is creative, iterative, and practical. And as I said, it is about the people, about the human being who are involved. We must understand what are their needs, what they want, right? So these are the critical elements of design thinking. Okay. So when we talk about design thinking, we must understand these three dimensions, right? So anytime we talk about entrepreneurial venture and applying design thinking approach, we must understand that it has three dimensions. One, human desirability. Is there a desire among the customers about the product which I am thinking, right? The first dimension is human desirability. Let me give you an example. Let's say, I'm going to start a business where I will send people to, let's say, moon, right? Is it desirable if I say to the world that, look, you don't have to bother about rest of the things? I think everybody would say, yes, we want to go, right? Because the moment you say, don't think about cost, don't think about any other dimensions, human desirability is there. Right? So first dimension is human desirability. Second, technical feasibility. Even if something is desired, that doesn't mean that everything will be technically feasible. So you must know what is technically feasible, what is technically not feasible. So in the example which I gave you, you have to check yourself, do we have the necessary technology to go to moon? Right? And if yes, we know that there is technical feasibility. Right? So human desirability, technical feasibility. Last and the most important dimension is business viability. Even if it is desire, even if it is feasible, it has to be viable in terms of the financials, right? So if I'm going to start a business of sending people to moon, I must find out whether it will be financially viable or not, whether it will be viable as a business or not. That means whether people will pay me required amount or not, right? So ultimately, when we say design thinking, the outcome should fall in the center area, which is highlighted in yellow. That means it must be desirable, feasible, as well as viable. If it doesn't satisfy any of this, it is not going to work out. Right? So, as an entrepreneur, when you are thinking about applying design thinking, you must understand that you have to find out a solution which will fall in the yellow area. That means it should satisfy all the dimensions. Okay. Now, what happens in design thinking process? So, design thinking is 5-stage process. So, I'm going to tell you broadly what are they, and then with one example, and finally we will get into little bit of depth of each of these dimensions. Okay. So, design thinking starts with the first stage, which is empathize. That means you must understand from whom you are designing a solution. Who is your customer, right? What are your customers thinking? What are the benefits you can provide to your customers? What are the problems your customers are facing? So the stage one is empathize. That means trying to understand your customer. Once you understand your customers' needs, requirements, pain points, second stage is you are going to define the problem. So what is the problem that you are going to solve? Now, every customer might have 10 different problems, right? And it may not be possible for you to solve everything. That's fine. But then you have to say which out of these 10 problems you are going to solve. So you have to define what is the problem that you are solving. Stage 2. Stage 3 is you generate multiple ideas, right? Many ideas you generate, and then you try to identify multiple solutions for them. Once you identify several ideas, then you have a discussion with different people who are involved, and out of those ideas you pick one idea which you think is the best one, and then you get into prototype stage. That means you are going to make a tangible thing which you can show to your customers, right? So you make a prototype of it, stage number 4, and then you are going to test the prototype. That means you are going to show it to your user and ask them, do you think that this works? Do you think that this solves your problem? And you know if you get some feedback from the user, you try to again go back to empathize to understand them better. So as I mentioned before, this is always an iterative process, or this is always a cyclical process, right? So these are 5 stages. Let me tell you with an example how these 5 stages work. Okay. I think some of you might have noticed what is this machine. This is an MRI machine developed. So the first one was developed by GE Healthcare, and this guy dog, he he during he was the scientist who was involved in this discovery. Okay, so they created this machine, and this got installed in several hospitals, and this was the world class machine. Very good images, better diagnostics, faster results. That means it's a real lifesaver. But only one problem: for this machine to work properly, patients need to lie perfectly still. So when you get inside the machine, you have to remain there in one position, remain there perfectly still, otherwise this machine will not work. Now this was fine for adult people, right, because they understand, whereas for children it was a big problem, because the moment children were subjected to this machine, they were terrified. Right? and then lot of sound comes from different sides. So what, so if they have to use this on the children, one option was to give them some kind of anesthesia and all sedation. Again, this has multiple problem. It's risky to give sedation to the kids. The process becomes very slower because you have to wait till they lose their sense, and then again wait till they come back. So the process was much longer, and also the experience was extremely bad for the kids. So this was a real problem, right? Now there were several discussions how to address this. Now some people said you create another machine for the kid. Some said you put this in the machine, it will work. You do put a LCD screen in the machine, this will work. But it turned out that all of them needed much higher investment, right? If you have to make one more machines, you have to invest a lot in R&D, and that they were not ready to do. The solution which they finally, and by now thousands of MRI machines had already been distributed. So what to do? The solution they found out was very simple. The same MRI machine, what they did, they put multiple stickers, and in the wall they put multiple stickers. They converted this room into like either a jungle theme or pirate theme, something like that, and that solved the problem. Now the kids, they enjoyed being in the room. They thought that they are in some kind of a theme park where they are having good time, and this solved all the problem. If you really think in terms of investment, there was hardly any investment, right? You have to just put some stickers around this, that's all. Same machine, no new R&D, and only with some stickers job was done. Now let's see how design thinking worked in this case. First step, empathize. So who the product was being developed, it was developed for the kid patients, and what problem they are trying to solve. They say that we are trying to solve the anxiety problem. So they are anxious and we want to address their anxiety. So that's stage number 2. And then they proposed several ideas, as I told you, put LCD screen, do more R&D and all those stuffs. So there were multiple ideas were listed, and finally they thought that okay, one idea which was selected is, can we paint those MRI machines, right? Put some stickers and all those things. And then it was put into practice, it was showed to the kids, and the solution worked. Right? So this is how design thinking as an approach can help an entrepreneur or even an established business to come out with innovative solutions. Okay. These are 5 stages. Now let's try to understand each stage little in depth. So the first stage is empathize. And in empathize, what we are trying to do is we will try to understand what the user is feeling, what the user is thinking, what are the opinions, what are their ideas, all those things. And in order to do that, we have multiple, frameworks are there. So I will talk about 2, 3. One, we talk about user persona. So what we do, we try to create persona of our user. So whoever is our user, right? So you group of users, they have a typical characteristics. If I am developing a product for the young population, right? So my user is of one type. If I am developing a product for the woman, it's another user persona. If it is for the kids, another user persona. If it is for the elderly population, another user persona. Right? So what we are going to do, we create persona of our user, and what are the things we capture there? Basic information, we'll give some name, photo or some sketch, demographic characteristics, age, gender, all those things. Goals and needs, what are the goals of the user, what the user wants, what are their needs, right? What are their behaviors, that means what they do throughout the day, what kind of device they use, all those things. What are the pains and frustrations of the user, right? What makes the user anxious, what makes the user worried, all these things we capture. And what can do the job for the user, right? What can make the user happy, what can motivate the user, so the gains and motivations. So the first stage is to create a user persona where we capture these details about a particular user group. Okay, this is one tool we use. Second, we use something called customer journey map. That means whenever we are interacting with the customers, customer goes through several stages, right? Stage one is awareness. The first stage is customer will know that, okay, there is this product which is available. Second, consideration. Now user might think that, okay, I might buy this product, consideration. Third, purchase. User will come and buy your product. Then they will be part of your user group. Okay, fourth stage. Fifth stage, they are going to use your product. And sixth stage is user might go and tell about your product. So typically any product, these are different stages users go through. Okay, and at each stage user interacts with somebody, right? In the, let's say in the awareness stage, it is your marketing team with whom user is interacting. Consideration, also marketing team. Purchase, your sales team, right? Onboarding, the onboarding team is there. Then for usage, again your customer support team is there. So at each stage user is going to talk to somebody. So what we do at each stage, we are going to map the user's journey, what this user is going to do at each stage, what are the emotions of the user at each stage, what are the pain points of the user at each stage, right? And what are the opportunities and ideas. So we are going to do this exercise for our user group. Okay? This we call customer journey map. Third one, again, as part of empathize, is to create empathy map. What we do, we interview the user, multiple users, to understand, some dimensions about them. First, what do they think and feel, right? Second, what do they see around them? Third, what your user explicitly say and do, right? What activity they do, what do they say to you that, they might say, oh, I am extremely frustrated with your product, I'm very happy with your product, whatever they are saying and whatever they are hearing, right? So they can hear from the news medium, they can hear from the marketer about the product or about the industry, right? So here, and then you have to list down what are the pains of your user, what are their problems, and what are the gains, right? What is the extra that you can give them. Let me give you an example to explain pain and gain difference, right? Imagine, you are thinking of starting a, you know, taxi services from point A to point B. Let's say from Mumbai to Delhi, you want to start a taxi services, right? So the pain that you are trying to address in this case is the difficulty for users to get, train tickets or get flight tickets at a reasonable price. This is a pain of the user that you are trying to address. So if you just start any taxi services, you are reducing the pain. Now you tell your user that, look, I am going to offer you a taxi services, which is premium one, right? You can, I have installed, fully reclining seats. There are toilets inbuilt, all these things. So what you are saying, I am not only reducing your pain, but I am going to provide you something extra, some gains as well, right? So that is the difference between pain and gain. So for your user type, you have to interview them to understand, what they hear, what they think and feel, what they see, what they say and do, and finally their pains and their gains. If you can do this, your empathy map is done. Okay. So this is stage one, which is empathize.
Sir, can
Now
you
we will,
please show the previous slide?
yes. Any questions?
It's a before this.
Okay.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah. Any questions you have? Okay. Stage two is define, and as I said, you are going to reframe the problem. So out of several users' requirement, you say I am going to focus on this particular problem. And one of the framework we use in this case is we call how might we. Right? So we call how might we statements. One example of that is here. For example, if you are talking about airports, you might say, how might we reduce stress during airport security checks without compromising safety, right? Because probably when you interview your users, some of them, they might say that, oh, I'm very stressed, that the security check takes a lot of time and I really don't like. Then you have to frame the problem like, how might we reduce stress during airport security checks without compromising on safety. So similarly, for each problem that you are trying to address, you have to write down the how might we statements. Right? So what we are trying to do here, we are defining the problem. Right? First, we understood what our user is thinks, what our user is thinking, what our user is doing, and now we are going to define their problem. Okay, stage number two. So once we understand the user, once we define the user's problem, stage number three is ideation. Okay, what happens in this stage? We try to create as many solutions as possible. So that means we tell everybody in the team that let us know what do you think, right? If this is the problem, tell us what are the possible solutions, and immediately everybody will give their solutions. So the idea is generate maximum number of solutions to a problem, and then now you have set of solutions identified with you. Okay. One of the framework or techniques typically we call it crazy eight ideation template. So what we do in this crazy eight template, we write down eight ideas quickly in 8 minutes. So we give 8 minutes and we say, now you write down eight ideas, right? And then you do a voting among the team member, and then you pick the idea which you think works the best. So this is called ideation, crazy ideation technique. So 8 different ideas you create, and then you narrow down to one idea that you can implement. Okay. So this is ideation, creating multiple ideas and then finding one out of that. Okay. So the goal, as I told you in this case, is create a lot of choices. That means create a lot of ideas, and then we are going to make our choices, streamline it, and then focus on one of them. So first, it's about flare. That means you expand the horizon, and then you focus on one choice. Okay, this is the ideation technique. The fourth stage is building a prototype. Once you think that, okay, this idea might work, next step is develop a prototype of it, right? That how are you going to solve that idea? So in this stage, you will try to turn your concepts into something concrete, tangible, something that can be directly tested. Okay. So this is fourth stage, which is creating the product or creating, the prototype. And the final stage is testing. Once the prototype is ready with you, then you are going to test that prototype. So you will give it to the user, and then you ask the user that, okay, now you test it and you let us know your feedback. Now users will test it and they will tell, okay, this is working, this is not working, I'm still not happy. And then, based on their feedback, again you go back and change your product, right? So this is about 5 stages of design thinking and how this can be applied, right? We use design thinking a lot in entrepreneurship because as an entrepreneur you have to find ideas, new ideas, innovative ideas, and design thinking is a wonderful tool which can help you to do that, right? So now, happy to answer if you have any questions. Yeah, go ahead, one by one.
Yeah, hello, sir.
Yeah,
Yeah, good evening, sir.
yeah, Mansi, good evening. Tell me.
Sir, I joined today only.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, sir. What you are lecturing about?
Okay, so when did you join the session?
Yeah, today I joined just recently.
So that, I am not the right person. I am an external member, so I am not the right person to answer this. You can talk to, one of the contacts. If you have any question on what I presented, I am happy to answer. Right? Any other questions, administrative questions? I am
No,
not the
sir.
right
I
person.
am asking. What is today's class? Is it about economic?
It's on design thinking for entrepreneurs.
Okay. Sir, is there any group in WhatsApp?
Ma'am, excuse me, ma'am. Sir is not from IGNOR department. He is a professor from IIM Udaipur, and today he is a invited lecture for us. And so we should not ask question like this to him, to sir. There is another. Am I right, sir?
Yes, I am not the right person to answer any administrative questions. I can answer only questions which are related to design thinking and entrepreneurship, right?
Okay, okay,
Nothing
sir.
else. Any
Okay, sir.
administrative questions you put to
Okay, sir.
IGNO.
Got it.
Yeah.
Got it.
Good afternoon, sir.
Yeah, good afternoon, Subra.
Can you told, tell me about the step 3?
Step 3 is ideation, right?
Yes, sir.
So
Ideation.
once you understand this is what my user requires, and then you define the problem, then you have to create solutions for that, right? Let me give you a simple example to explain this.
Yes, yes.
Let's say you interviewed the users and now you understand that, in the airport, standing in the security queue for long time is a problem for the user. So that's the problem you are going to solve. Now in stage 3, when it comes to ideation, you will ask your team to now let us create as many solutions as possible for the user. So what can be different solutions for the user? One, you can say that there can be a self security clearance can be there. Then you can say there can be a machine which can be installed. Third, you can say that security clearance can be done when they are entering into the aircraft. So there can be different solutions, right? So in this stage, you are going to first propose different solutions, and then you look at their positives and negatives and identify any one solution, which then you are going to create prototype. So that's stage number 3.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions, anyone?
Sir, good afternoon, sir.
Yeah, good afternoon.
Yes, sir. I have a question. Actually, sir, after I completed my 5 steps about designing thinking, then
Hmm?
after maybe it's protocol, it's work, it does not work. Then after, how can maybe repeat again?
Yes, see, the point is, if you create a prototype, you go to the user, you ask the user, and user says, no, still this doesn't work. So you again, the idea is you come back to empathize stage. That means you ask the user questions that, okay, you tell me what should be improved, right? You get user feedback, and then again you try to get into the ideation process and create one more prototype. So that's why we say that it has to be an iterative process.
Okay, okay, thank you.
Yeah. Any other questions?
Yeah, hi sir.
Yeah, hi.
Yes, so I just wanted to understand like how can we incorporate a qualitative or a quantitative research in the design thinking process?
See, quantitative research you can use if you want to apply it. It can be done in the empathize stage, where you are trying to understand your user. So you take user interviews. If you have to collect data, quantitative data about the user, you collect it. Then then you run your test to find out what might work for the user. So at the empathize stage, it is possible to use, but not in any other stage typically.
Okay, so that would be in the first step, right?
First step, yeah.
Okay, okay, yeah. Thank you.
Yep. Thank you. Any other questions, anyone?
Sir, I have one more question, sir.
Yeah, go ahead, please, Papu.
Sir, if how to think like I'm designing something like that, how to generate this kind of thinking in
The
design,
only way to do
then
that practice, right? So you start working on this, and then only you will be. So there is no. It is not like you do 1, 2, 3 and then it is done. So it is a way of working, right? Design thinking, and there are different frameworks which are there, as I told you, right? There are empathy maps, there are user journey mapping. So if you do that, that slowly will put you into that design thinking track. But there is nothing like you do this one thing, it will be design thinking. It doesn't work like that.
well, it's not any kind of resource that I have. Then after I'm process like any kind of problem, then sort out in 5 stages.
No, I'm not getting your question. Can you please repeat? Your voice is breaking.
Okay, sir. Actually, I'm asking to you like how to resource like any kind of thinking then I have. Then after I put any kind of stage, how to resource this kind of thing?
The only way is to, once you understand now that there are these 5 stages, anytime you try to address a problem, you have to start implementing it, right? So you have to start from the empathize stage each time.
Okay, sir.
Yeah. Any other questions? Yeah, if there are no questions, I think we can wind up our sessions. Thank you, everyone. All the best.
Sir, it's a
Yeah.
hello, sir. I'm audible to you, sir.
Yes, yes.
It's a kind of non-linear process. Hello.
May I now request my senior colleague, Dr. S.K. Panigre sir, to kindly offer the vote of thanks. Panigre sir, please.
Bogey, your microphone is on.
Thank you.
Bogey, your camera is on.
Thank you very much, Nanda sir. So I extend my heartfelt thanks to Professor Hota sir. I mean, out of his busy schedule, Pradeep sir is very, very busy in issue and other work also. So with very short notice, he accepted our invitation and deliver a lecture today. So definitely with this deliberation, our learners can immensely benefited out of that. So I do feel that definitely our learners get the exposure of today's topic, and definitely this, I mean, our learners will motivate on that, and it will help them to grow their, I mean, professional life and also personal things also. So thank you very much, sir, for your kind presentation today. So on behalf of Regional Head of Bhubaneswar, on behalf of my regional director, so I extend my heartfelt thanks to you, sir. I mean, to deliver the lecture today, and also I extend my thanks to my dear colleague Vishinanda sir. I mean, all the time he's instrumental to organize this kind of webinar, and also, I mean, he's motivated all of us to conduct series of webinar in our RC Bhubaneswar. Thank you very much, sir, for today's webinar to you, sir. And also, I extend my heartfelt thanks to my colleague, Dr. P.K. Zena, and my other all colleagues who have supported us to make this webinar grand success. Thank you very much, all of you. And last but not least, my fellow learners and my beloved learners, definitely without you, it cannot be success. And I do feel that this webinar is immensely help you to enrich your knowledge level, and it will help you to grow in your future. Thank you very much to all of you. Thank you once again. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Over to you.
Thank you.
ବାକି ଭୁବନେଶ୍ୱର ପିଲା ଅଛନ୍ତି
Yes, sir. Namaskar.
MBA student କିଏ ଅଛନ୍ତି ଭୁବନେଶ୍ୱର?
Hindi agri business.
ଭୁବନେଶ୍ୱର MBA ପାଇଁ